morning. David was right. That does feel good to come up on stage to that song. So welcome to Convo. My name is Adela Hufford, and I am the Director of Orientation, Transition, and Retention here at Goshen College. And I have the privilege of working with student leadership. And that's what today's Convo is all about. We are highlighting student leadership here at Goshen College. So I know most of you through the role of orientation, and that is where my connection is to student leadership. That's the cornerstone of orientation. I wouldn't be able to do it without my orientation leaders, facilitating the different activities. Orientation is just one of the many areas that you can serve on campus. Today's Convo is brought to you by this group. So Campus Ministries, Health and Wellness, Orientation, Residence Life, and Campus Activities Council. This group hires, trains, and develops student leaders, but noting this is not the only collection of groups that hire and train student leaders. There are student leadership positions throughout campus. But what better way to be able to hear about it than from your peers? So on stage with me is a panel facilitated by Kate Boddicker. They'll have the opportunity to introduce themselves and respond to the first question, which is what leadership positions have you served in and what drew you to that role? But before I turn it over to Kate, just a reminder for each of you to respect this time. Please put devices away. Please keep your conversations to afterwards. Even if you think you're being very quiet, you can still be heard. So please give your attention to the stage for this student panel on student leadership at Goshen College. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to kick things off just by introducing ourselves and sort of what we've done to end up on the panel. So you guys know what you're talking about, introducing yourselves, what you've done, stuff like that. So I'll start. My name's Kate Boddicker. I'm a junior. I'm a writing and communication major. And I've served in lots of different roles doing student leadership. Right now I'm on Campus Ministries, and I'm the features editor at The Record, as well as I was an orientation leader this year. But also in the past, I've been the news editor and the news director at The Globe and The Record. So lots of different places around campus.
My name is Henry, and I'm a junior studying biology. I'm in my second year as a resident assistant in Yoder, and I initially was drawn to the role out of just curiosity. I was looking for campus employment, but then I really enjoyed it the first year, so I came back for a second one.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Hankins. I'm a sophomore psychology major from Avon, Indiana. I have been and currently am on the Campus Ministries team, and I'm also secretary and treasurer of APITA Union. I was initially drawn to Campus Ministries just because I'm a Baptist Christian. I'm very passionate about my faith and look to live out my faith in any way I can. And as for APITA, I was invited by a friend who knew of my heritage to join, and I've now been made secretary and treasurer.
Hello, good morning everybody. My name is Javier Reyes. I'm a second year nursing major. I am the Student Senate President here at GC. I'm also a member of the CAC, the Campus Activities Council, and as well as the Senate representative for the Commuter Student Association. Part of the reason why I decided to join the Commuter Student Association when I first got here was because I had prior experience in high school, and one of my goals once I got to this institution was to learn as much about it, the ins and outs, the administration, the clubs, and the people as fast as possible so I could make the most of my time here. And I think that so far that's been true of the different positions I've been able to do, as well as different opportunities like this one.
Hi everyone, I am Trent Sillett. I'm a senior biology major. I've served in 3 different roles on campus, 2 in the Res Life department as a resident assistant, and then now as an assistant resident director. And then as well, I am the baseball team's representative on the Athletic Student Association, or ASA. Pretty much I was pulled into the Res Life world through, at the time, Emily Hahn and Chandler. They kind of pulled me in at the start of August of their training because they needed an extra RA on campus, and my name was brought up. And it was something that I kind of fell in love with immediately, being able to work with residents and being able to kind of have that group of people on my floor that I could be seen as a role model for, or just someone there to kind of be that person if anyone ever needed one. And then as well, looking into like the athletic side, being able to take over the opportunity to be that leader on the representative for the baseball team. Kind of that came about just being recognized from people in the ASA community, and then needing a representative on the team and being able to kind of be that voice for my team when things are about in the athletic community.
So we'll kick things off now into maybe a little deeper of questions. So starting off with, how have you seen yourself grow through your experience in student leadership? Anyone can take it away.
I guess I'll start here. For me in the RA role, one of the great things about the position in the community is just how it's a great, safe place to practice and make mistakes while we're learning to deal with conflict management or events like this and public speaking, things like this. It's a great, safe community here at Goshen for these student leadership roles to practice those skills. And another thing unique to the RA role is that we do like professional development trainings at the beginning of each semester. And I have found those to be really informative and interesting times to learn new things.
Me, I would say from my experience, I've just seen my creativity expand a lot just from having to problem solve, take on difficult tasks, work with others, and just make decisions overall that not only impact myself, but impact the teams that I work with and the campus as a whole.
So to me, being a student leader has taught me how to be a lot more decisive, naturally being a very indecisive person. It's also shown me how to be a lot more accountable with my actions as well as like my time and responsibilities, and very steadfast with what I end up deciding to do. It's opened a whole lot of doors, and I've been able to meet some incredible people who have led me to kind of figure out who I am, more about who I am. And I've been able to deal with stress a lot more easily because of it, and it's been overall just a really great personal and interpersonal growth opportunity for me.
For me, really, I kind of saw a major change in myself, in my own personal values through, since freshman year, so now being in my third year in leadership roles. I believe those have really shaped kind of who I've become for the future, and now looking beyond Goshen, that's kind of something that I'll value the most, is really being able to find kind of where I fit, the people that I can rely upon and have trust in on campus, and really just find those communities that kind of you look for in a college setting, especially on campus, being able to kind of, just feel it right at home, away from home.
Yeah, I would kind of echo all of that of just, it's a really comfortable environment to feel like you are getting the chance to learn and to grow. And there's obviously a lot of pressure to do well since we are serving students. You know, we want to give people the best experience possible, but also to be aware that we're also students ourselves and just trying to be the best representatives we can in a lot of cases of what we think the student body wants, and to take in that feedback as well. So we'll move now to the next question. So again, some of you already touched on this a little bit in that answer, but what skills do you feel like you've developed through your student leadership experience, especially that are going to benefit you as you look forward, like past graduation?
I can start here again. Like I said earlier in that last question, we do trainings at the beginning of each semester as RAs and I guess ARDs too. And one of the things we do at the beginning of the fall semester is fire extinguisher training. And so for a lot of us, and myself included, this is the first time that like I ever used a fire extinguisher. So we learned some like really practical hands-on skills like that. But then also there's opportunities to practice the softer interpersonal skills. So for example, like during the semester, it's really hard to predict all the different things that are going to happen. So as an RA, it kind of forces you to think on your feet and practice your problem-solving skills. Like, you know, you got to think of something right then and there. You don't have time to really think about things sometimes. So that's a really great benefit and a skill that I've developed as an RA.
I kind of touched on this in the previous question, but for me, it would be problem solving, creativity, professional social skills, and just learning to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations overall.
For me, I think the two greatest skills that I've developed so far have been communicating, how to be able to form a sentence in front of people kind of on the fly, as well as my ability to kind of read the room and kind of figure out the what do you call it? How to handle certain conversations in certain social spaces, and learning more of how to connect with people on a more emotional level versus just kind of I see you every day and this is all I know about you.
Yeah, I think for myself, like the biggest thing would be, like Kelsey kind of mentioned, that professional communication skills, being able to go into meetings and kind of fully be comfortable in that setting where you can just simply go in, talk about the work that needs to be done or whatever it is in it, in the sense. But now looking at like my future, I'm going into interviews for grad school and will be going through interviews my entire life. And so some of that small stuff, getting out of your comfort zone, really just being able to kind of find that communication within the uncomfortability was probably the biggest skill that I've found beneficial being in the role that I have been on campus.
Having a lot of different roles, one of the biggest things that I've had to learn is like effective delegation. It's often easy for me to kind of like have a big vision of something we want to accomplish and be like, I can take it on, I'll just do it, like it's fine, I'll make the time. And in the past, that's definitely been kind of a problem because I've had to reconcile the fact that I don't have time to do everything. And so learning like that I can trust people and that as long as like instructions are clear and like I'm communicating, like people will get things done. Like I can trust people to help me out along the way, especially as we look towards planning like big campus events and stuff. That's not really a one-person job. So moving on now. So again, kind of looking more broadly towards the campus community, who are some of the individuals or groups on campus that you've connected with through your experience in student leadership that maybe you wouldn't have had a chance to spend a lot of time with otherwise?
Sure, yeah. One of the things, like as RAs, it's our job. Like we're expected to be a resource for residential students. So in that way, we often have the chance to connect with people on our floors or at events that we plan. And one of the things that I have experienced, I've really enjoyed are service events. So we're required to put on a number of floor events each semester. And so some of those are like volunteer-based service events, and those have been some of the most rewarding ones for me to connect with people on campus and then also with individuals off campus and kind of open doors for people in that way. But then also, I have found a really, really wonderful community just among the other RAs and in the Res Life department. So I've really enjoyed connecting with especially student athletes because I'm not a student athlete and a ton of the other RAs are student athletes. So it's kind of a way for me to connect with a part of the student body that I normally wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, I would say as a student athlete, it's really easy to just stay within your own team and and not make connections elsewhere. But by becoming a student leader for APITA and for Campus Ministries, I've made so many spiritual connections with people that I otherwise wouldn't have crossed paths with beforehand. And I also have just made connections with staff members and students in general who have different hobbies, backgrounds, personalities, etc. And we wouldn't have really gotten to know each other, period, if we didn't have that one shared passion that brought us to the leadership position to begin with.
So I'm a commuter student here at Goshen College, and I never really thought that I would have the chance to meet some of the communities that I'm a part of now, being that I come home and then, that I come here on campus for my classes and then kind of go home. But by involving myself around in different things and keeping myself open to the opportunities that came because of them, let me get into groups like Student Life and meeting a lot of different, both residents and the Resident Life team. I didn't really see myself going to a whole lot of events the first year until I started to really embrace the fact that by being a part of one group, you kind of opening yourself up to everybody else that's here on campus. Additionally, I think that I wouldn't have met a lot of the friends that I have now if I didn't go to certain events. So even just keeping myself open to going out and opening myself up to the community was important.
I feel like my kind of answer to this reflects both on what Henry and Kelsey have said in certain ways. Again, being an RA and now assistant resident director, like our job is to make connections with all the residents on campus and be able to kind of, again, be that person to look up to. And then again, as a student athlete, my first year being on a team that was fairly large, it was very easy for me to find comfort in those that I spent 50% of my time with pretty much. And so otherwise than that, like if I kind of didn't escape what that was, I probably wouldn't be kind of where I am today, especially as a resident director, being able to find those people that seek me in times or any of the case, but definitely being able to find different groups that kind of I never thought I would have, especially we kind of talked before this. All of us up here knew each other, and really only me and Henry worked in a role together. And so we found that even though we didn't work in the roles being a student leader on campus, the five of us could relate to each other and knew each other in some sense before this panel even happened, when only, again, me and Henry worked together one-on-one.
Kind of echo some of what Henry said of just connecting with the community outside of GC, especially in my like co-curricular work with like the Record and the Globe. I've just gotten to meet so many people, particularly as someone who's not from Goshen and who's not even from Indiana. It's been a really cool experience to get to connect with leaders like in the community and just other people around that I would have really had no reason to interact with if I wasn't in these roles. And of course, yeah, like Trent said, obviously students that I meet through groups collaborating and things like that, that again, I wouldn't necessarily have had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with if I wasn't part of those collaborations. So carrying on through. So again, still reflecting on that larger campus community, how do you feel that your leadership role has had a specific impact here at GC?
I feel like, excuse me, I feel like in the Res Life department, the biggest thing, the biggest impact we have on the campus community is through events. So we put on a number of different events every semester, both on the floor and within buildings, and then sometimes we do campus-wide events too. I think that's the biggest way that we impact the campus community.
I can't really answer this question since I don't really benefit from the work that I do beyond the skills that I develop while doing them. But as a member of Campus Ministries and the APITA Union, I hope that I can either help those who want to start their faith or just grow in their faith. And for those who come to APITA events, I hope that you all find like joy and fun and stress relief while also learning about various Asian cultures.
So I hope that my roles in GC have done good so far, or have had really good impacts. Part of my goal being part of the Campus Activity Council as well as the Student Senate is to try to bring back a lot of the community that was lost during COVID. There was a lot of scattering of groups, and being able to kind of reignite the passion and the student life here on campus, being a part of that process, I think has been my biggest impact so far, especially as far as revitalizing the Student Senate and getting in contact with all the different student groups and clubs on campus.
Yeah, for within ASA, so the Athletic Student Association, I feel like kind of our goal to help impact the community or the campus community is really be the voice for athletes around campus and people that use the fitness center in general. I think trying to make that a better space for everyone on campus, and then especially, of course, athletes who spend a lot of their time there, kind of is always our goal and will continue to be. Really just trying to improve the daily lives that make athletes so busy and can kind of take some of that burden off with whatever we can do to support that. And then again, in the RA role and as the resident director role, like Henry mentioned, kind of our goal is to help build that community. So when people come on campus, they typically don't know a lot of people on their floors, if they're residents or if they're commuter students, they pretty much know what's around them and then how to be on campus, but they may not have a community. So kind of our goal, again, would be just build that community, find ways to enjoy your time here on campus rather than it just being school. And yeah, so just really just kind of trying to find people around you that you can enjoy being around to make your 4 or so years here the most enjoyable experience that you can get.
Yeah, I feel like for me, one of the roles maybe I haven't touched on as much is my work as an orientation leader, and I do actually feel that that's one of the areas where I have felt the most tangible impact on people. I mean, frankly, there's probably some of you here today that were in my orientation group at one point, or have worked with me also as an orientation leader, and so I just feel like being involved in that orientation process really is a good way to impact a lot of people, because you are getting to interact with pretty much all of the freshmen in one way or another at different times. So I think that's something that's really stuck out to me as an opportunity just to be able to help people build their confidence as they're coming into school. I know how stressed I was as a first year, trying to kind of like figure out what was going on and making friends and stuff. So trying to translate that and hopefully making an impact and letting people come in with a little more confidence into their first week of classes, as opposed to the fear that I think a lot of people come into the beginning of orientation week with. Right, so getting near to the end now, but what's one lesson that you feel like you've learned in your role that is going to impact the broader world? So a pretty big scale question, but how are you hoping to have an impact after you graduate?
So for me, one of the biggest lessons or ideas that I've taken away from the RA role is the idea that leadership is multi-directional. So typically most people will think about, you've got the leader at the top, and then people that are responsible to that leader. But in reality, it's better to think about it as you can have a leader, and then they lead those that are responsible to them, but also they can lead their peers at the same level, and even lead their supervisors in certain ways. And if we approach, or if leadership is approached in that way, it kind of creates a community and a culture of collaboration.
An important takeaway for me would definitely be put yourself in uncomfortable situations and adapt to those situations to become comfortable, because later on when you find yourself more confident, that means you've made character growth and personal growth that you can use in like every aspect of your life moving forward, even after college. And no one's ever really become smarter, faster, stronger, or just improved in anything by sticking to what they know and like what they're content with. So in short, I would say you can never stop growing, so never allow yourself to become complacent in anything.
I would have to completely agree with Kelsey, because I would not be here and I would not be who I am today if I decided to stick to what I know. I used to be incredibly indecisive with everything, and now I'm able to delegate tasks. I'm able to work with people and kind of realize that I cannot do everything in order to achieve the goals that I want to do. And I think that taking that out into the world is going to make me grow incredibly fast and in an incredibly healthy way, versus having to do that really slowly and taking a lot of time to kind of figure out these things once I don't have a community around me that'll support me.
Yeah, I think for me, being in the RA role, especially, it exposes you to a lot of situations that not a lot of other college students get to experience. And so really being in an atmosphere that is in that uncomfortability, or like you just simply like are unaware of what could be the case, putting yourself in those situations, putting yourself out there, again, like a lot of the panel has mentioned here, is kind of the best way to create new experiences. The biggest thing, you can't escape the real world, you can't escape kind of what's ahead, and so really trying to just kind of embrace everything that is ahead rather than kind of create worries for yourself. That is kind of one of the biggest things that I've learned in the role, is that you can't worry for what's ahead, but just be prepared for it and be excited for it.
I think I would echo a lot of what's been said, but I think something I really struggled with freshman year before I was doing a lot of student leadership things was feeling like people weren't maybe interested in what I had to say or what I had to contribute, that there was these older students who were they had it all figured out and they were taking care of things. And that was something that now, on the flip side of it, I've just realized is so not the case. Like older students still don't necessarily always know what they're doing. They're also still trying to learn. But I think a big part of it too is that like student leadership so badly wants the feedback of students. Like I cannot emphasize that enough. And I think that was something as a first year that I was just kind of like, well, they probably know, like they say they want to hear from me, but like they already know what they're gonna do. Like it doesn't really matter that much. And I really can't emphasize enough how like untrue that is. Like student leadership can't do anything if we don't know what the students want and what's gonna be best for the campus community. So I feel like that was something that I really learned, is just that like when people are asking for your input, like they really do want it. It's not just sort of a cursory, like, we should say that we care about this, but it really does help inform, like, a lot of the decisions you're making. And I feel like that's something I'm gonna try to take with me as I graduate, is just being like, if people are asking for my input or people are trying to be interested in what I'm saying, like, believing them and being willing to put myself out there and try to empower others to also feel like they have a place to speak up. And then our last question here, so maybe something for everybody to think about as we head out to the Student Leadership Fair after this. But what advice would you guys give to someone who's considering student leadership for the first time?
What I would say is just if you even have a little bit of curiosity about what it would be like to be a student leader, go for it. If you apply and you get it, great. You can say yes or no at that point. And if you don't get the position you were hoping for, you just had a great experience in a job application interview process. So yeah, that's my advice, is just if you're interested, go for it.
My advice is really similar. I would say that, again, like if you're even remotely interested in something, like try it out, because you'll never know your full potential in anything if you don't take advantage of the small opportunities that are here and now, especially as a young adult in college. And it's better to look back and think, you know, that wasn't really for me, but at least I gained knowledge and experience trying, instead of looking back and thinking, I passed up an opportunity to learn about myself, grow my character, explore an interest in general.
I kind of have to echo off of Henry and Kelsey with that one. You don't have to be the perfect fit for any one role. Part of what makes a great leader is being able to turn the role into something unique to you, because that'll be what people will remember, and it'll help people kind of follow after you and do their own thing in order to improve what you have already done and improve what the issues that they now have to deal with. The biggest fear that I had was that I would mess up, not do enough, or just not know what to do and never figure it out. But as long as you are willing to have patience with yourself, with the people around you, and as long as you're determined to get better at it, you will get better and you will figure it out. I would say, kind of bluntly, the best way to get into opportunities is to hesitate after you already decide to do it. That has worked out so far for me. Throwing myself at different opportunities and figuring it out as I go. And some roles that has gone better than others. However, I was able to learn a lot in a very short amount of time. And most of the time, like, it's not the end of the world if you mess up or you figure out this isn't for me. That's happened right now, even with my major. I recently switched because I figured out, I tried this, I was pretty good at it, but I was like, this isn't for me. And, you know, there was the world didn't end because of the decisions like that. And if you apply that to a lot of different areas of your life, I think you will end up seeing a lot of really positive benefits. And you'll feel like you have a lot less regrets when you go to, you know, sleep at night and you reflect on your day.
Yeah, I think some advice would be take the experiences that you come into this place with and kind of flourish in what you've experienced in the past, and really find your passion in something that you do believe in. Being able to do something that you're passionate in and be passionate in the work that you do really provides benefits to those around you, even if they don't even believe the same thing you do, but yourself being passionate about what you do will translate to those around you. Really just being able to kind of spread what you want to say, be confident in what you want to get out of what you're doing in your role, whatever that may be, is kind of all that your employers, your bosses, professors, that's all they could ask for of you.
I feel like sort of as a final thought, I would just say, like, Goshen is a small campus. Like, I think we all know that. Everybody's pretty aware. And because of that, it leads to, first of all, a lot more opportunities than you would get at like a bigger school. You might have to sort of pigeon yourself much more into one specific role, not really be able to branch out as much. So that's really a strength here, is that you can fulfill a lot of different roles. Like I said, I mean, I've served in like 5 or 6 different student leadership roles, and I'm only a junior. But I also would say that that means that there is a certain level of like responsibility that you hold like as a member of this community to make it better for yourself and also for other people. So I would really encourage you to push yourself and think about the complaints that you have, because I know everybody has complaints about things that happen here, and that's just the way it goes. Think about the ways that you feel like your experience could be better, and then talk to your friends, see if they agree, then talk to some people maybe you don't know as well, see how they feel, and then take that information and try to make a difference so that you don't have to just sit around and complain about it. You can sit around and complain about it at a meeting where you can actually do something about changing it. So that would be my advice.
All right, well, thank you so much to our panel this morning. Go ahead and share your appreciation. Let them know that you appreciate this morning. You guys can sit down. All right, I have 2 things before we dismiss, so don't get too restless yet. When I dismiss you, you will come up either of these 2 inside aisles. Those who are scanning will be here. So you're going to come up these 2 aisles. You will exit out the outside aisles. So that's how we will do for scanning this morning. All right, you may have seen posters around campus talking about a leadership fair, and we referenced it a couple times this morning. Down in the fellowship hall is where you will find tables with these groups and student leaders representing those groups to be able to answer questions. They're there to help talk through if you have questions about the application process, the interview process, what opportunities are available for 2025-26. The groups that are shown have a unified application this year. So it's one application, a set of general questions that everyone answers, and then there are individual questions depending on which positions you identify that you want to be a part of. There's interviews later, group interviews for those of you who are new to applying to positions. The deadline to apply for Res Life, for RAs, CAC, orientation leaders, peer wellness educators, spiritual connections team is January 24th. There are QR codes down in the fellowship hall to scan, and you can talk to any of our student leaders down there. Thank you so much for coming to Convo today, and I wish you a good day.